Perfect. So I just want to say big welcome to everyone. Thank you so much for participating on this call today. We are discussing this new grant requirement, which is our moving from the DUNS number, which many of you are familiar with and have already provided us with, which is great. We're moving to the unique entity ID through SAM.gov. So can everybody hear me okay? Okay. So for those of you who are saying you may be unable to hear, it may be something you have to troubleshoot on your end. All right. So this transition is meant to be pretty seamless. We have to have this, both of them currently right now, your DUNS number and your UEI. And this is a new requirement. This is impacting our organizations, our schools, our private schools, school districts, universities, and units of government. A thing that I want to reiterate that did go out to everyone, we had an update in the information that went out. Public schools only need to provide the UEI for their school district. They do not need to get a separate UEI for their school. Just wanted to reiterate that. Important thing that we're going to note also in this change is that when we did have DUNS numbers, there was a brief period of time there where we requested a DUNS number for the benefiting organization and also for the fiscal receiver. That is going to stay the same. There was a little bit of time where we were like, oh no, we don't need the DUNS for your fiscal receiver. We are going to need the UEI for the benefiting organization and the fiscal receiver. And we'll have more information on how that impacts information we ask and require from you in grant applications. So no worries. All right. All right, I'm going to go ahead and screen share. We have, thank you so much, Laurel, with the help of our communications team. We have been able to provide page specific to this DUNS UEI transition. And a lot of the resources that are on there were also within the email communication that was sent out via the grants portal. So when you do click on all grants, you come to this page. You'll see now there is a DUNS number, unique entity IDs page. And so you'll click on that. Also, what I love to reiterate is if you search in our search bar, it will pull up that page. Just gives you some more information regarding why this is in effect and it is a requirement in accordance with federal government policy. All organizations are going to need to provide us with the unique entity ID. As of right now, the DUNS number is still the verifying entity you want to use. We'll have, again, more information on that. As of April 4th of this year, the UEI requirement is going to replace the DUNS number. So on April 4th, you will see also within the grants portal that your DUNS number will no longer be viewable to you. That's because on our end, we'll need it, but you will no longer have use for that number. So that's why we are stating it's very, very important you go ahead and start this process now, because you are able to use your DUNS number to go ahead and easily request a unique entity identifier. So our unique entity identifier is an alphanumeric code that is set to uniquely identify a specific entity. This is to verify the legal business name and address. This is very similar to what the DUNS number verification process was. The only difference is now that verification process will no longer be through Dun & Bradstreet, it will be through SAM.gov. We have a little bit of clarification here. The difference between a UEI, a DUNS number, a tax ID, and FEIN. We always request a lot of different numbers. We want to make sure we're clear on what all of those mean. So the FEIN, or the tax ID number, relates to your federal tax exempt status. That is not the same thing as the SAM UEI that you're going to be requesting. Again, DUNS numbers are similar to the SAM UEI in terms of its purpose and its process. This gives you a little bit more information about Dun & Bradstreet, how they kept track of that. This is still being used in this type of research, the DUNS number, and I believe they are also planning to make their own transition to collecting UEIs. We're getting more confirmation on that information, or excuse me, more clarification on the information as we get closer to this April 4th date. So again, until April 4th, the DUNS number is the authoritative entity identifier by the federal government. So you'll see when we get to our resources, you are still going to need to get a DUNS number first if you do not already have one in order to request your UEI. Again, this is just to reiterate some of the information I said before regarding organizations using fiscal receivers, and that we will need both. Again, individual public schools, we can use the school district's UEI. They do not need their own. And individual artists are not required to obtain a DUNS number or a UEI. Now we get to the fun part. How do you get a UEI? So again, the information that you'll need to provide through SAM.gov. Again, we say this is subject to change because this is, again, not a process that we control or can necessarily walk you through. This is all done through SAM.gov. It is separate from the grants portal. So these, as of right now, is the requirements we have. SAM.gov can always change these at any time, but this is what they are requiring of you. We would prefer that an authorized official is someone, of course, who can legally represent the organization, request the DUNS number and or the SAM UEI. There is no fee associated with getting a DUNS number or getting a SAM UEI. Please avoid any websites who ask for a fee from you. That is a scam. These are completely free. These are guides, again, that were provided to us. So we wanted to make sure you had easy access to those. These are also accessible through SAM.gov. I will show you in just a moment where that help page is on SAM.gov, where you can access a few more resources for any other questions you have for that. But you should have no problem easily just click. It will take a second to download. It will pop up for you. This is an easy guide. What I love about this is they have each potential situation for your organization or entity. Ones that have a DUNS number that is registered in SAM.gov is not registered. Your identity doesn't have a DUNS number. They explain all the steps that are applicable to you in your situation. So again, a lot of our current grantees will have that DUNS number, and they are not necessarily registered in SAM.gov. That's okay. They give you all the steps that you need and walk you through how to get started. So please look through and follow their specific instructions. And another thing, of course, is this is a link directly to a YouTube video. I won't click on that right now, so it starts playing for everyone. But that is an 8-minute video that walks you through, again, the process. Some of you are visual learners, maybe like myself, and that may be more helpful than the PDF guide. So we wanted to make sure you had both. Also, what is very nice that SAM.gov was able to put together for everyone is this will take you straight to a page on SAM.gov that is specific to this transition. And they have pulled together a bunch of resources based on questions that they have already received and or continue to receive. So you can always refer back to that as needed. Again, I just want to go over these deadlines because it is important. When should you get my UEI? Please start now. It's going to be so much easier for you to go ahead and get this part, I'm going to say out of the way, but it is a requirement and it's better to go ahead and get this done now because you can go ahead, get a DUNS number if you don't have one. But again, you can use the DUNS number you all should already have to go ahead and easily get your UEI. It can take up to 2 business days. It just kind of depends on that verification process. I've known some entities to get their UEI in a few hours. It depends on that internal process they have. Beginning April 4th, you will no longer be able to use your DUNS number to get a UEI. So you may have to go through just a slightly longer process, but again, it's going to be very similar to what the DUNS process was, where again, it can take up to 2 business days, and they just will need that more information from you that is referred here. And they'll just need that, all of that to be uploaded and provided. Okay. So before I get to you have your UEI and what's next, we're going to go ahead. I just want to go to our SAM.gov, the SAM.gov site, not ours, sorry, SAM.gov, and go ahead and show you just a little bit. Again, this is their main window for getting started. You'll see this view a lot in the PDF and in the video. I want to refer you to this help section. Unfortunately, we are unable to help you if there is a snag in any verification process or any issue with any information aligning. So you are able to do live chats with them. They tell you their hours of operation. This is the Federal Service Desk. They will have helpful tools here for anything that you need, but you can just follow their instructions for any kind of incident ticket that's needed. Again, if something does pop up during the verification process, they will remind you of this information and who can appropriately help you. All right. So next in this process, you have your unique entity identifier. So now what's next? Most of you who already have an account within our grants portal, you'll log in to your grants portal. You will navigate to your organization's account information. This is when you are able to now edit your organization's information. You will enter your 12-digit identifier in the field labeled Federal Unique Entity Identifier. And I'm going to go ahead and show you what that looks like. So this is a demo of the applicant dashboard. And this is where it will take you when you click on that house. Always say if you're somewhere you can't recognize and you don't know, like, oh, I don't know where my pencil icon is, go ahead and click on that house. It'll bring you back here to Basecamp. You'll click on this to edit your organization info. And here is the Federal Unique Entity Identifier. you will enter that 12-digit here. And we also have these resources again, if you need to refer back, just a helpful reminder. If you forgot your DUNS number, or if you're like, I don't know where I placed that information, we have that on file for you. And you can refer to your DUNS number information the same exact way, and you can easily copy and paste it from here when you need to place that into SAM.gov to go ahead and register for your unique entity ID. So once you've made those changes, you can go ahead and you click Save, and it will live right in your information's account, and this is where you will see it. Again, reminder of where your DUNS number is, right there. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. At this time, I just want to go ahead and take a look in our chat here and see what questions we have. All right. Love that. I love everyone's helping each other. I guess a reminder for public schools, that is great. Thank you so much for putting that in the chat, that you can check in with your district office financial advisor. They should have all the information that you need. They most likely will already have a unique entity identifier in place, so it should be easy to just collect that information. Say, is this a process we need to do with all grantors we work with? Possibly. I can't speak for those other grantors. I can only speak for us as of right now. I know that because we are a state organization, we do receive federal funding. If there are other grantors that you have that receive federal funding, this may also become applicable to them. It is going to be useful to you if you do plan on receiving federal funding directly. If you receive federal funding at all, it's just very important for you to have this number. Also, the DUNS was a requirement if you are receiving government funding. So again, the DUNS is going to be replaced with the UEI, so it will be relevant to you in some way, shape, or form. But as of right now, to receive funding from us, this will be a requirement going forward. And I wanted to touch base on how this will impact applications moving forward. There is this period of time up until April 4th where we do have some applications that are recently opening. You'll see in some of those applications, we are asking for both a DUNS number and a UEI. That is because for our reporting purposes, we are going to have to make sure we have both numbers in the system, but also it is going to be very helpful for those organizations, those entities to have both, because you're going to need both regardless. You're going to have to get a DUNS number before you can get a UEI. So it's a way that we can go ahead and pull both of those identifiers. Also, if you are using a fiscal receiver, we have added 2 required boxes within the fiscal receiver's information. It's going to be one is for the DUNS number and one is for the UEI. Now, after April 4th, because the DUNS number will be no more, you will see now that we will be requiring the unique entity identifier only. And information will be updated within our website that will just be about the unique entity identifier. Yes, a question for a fiscal receiver. Fiscal agent or fiscal receiver is someone that is in partnership with the organization that will be receiving the funding. And then they will be giving that funding to the benefiting organization for their project. That is in cases where a benefiting organization is not able to receive funding directly. We are registered as a South Carolina nonprofit org, but not a 501c3. We do have a fiscal receiver. Is there a different process? Those who, every entity is required to register, or was prior to a UEI happening, was required to register to receive a DUNS number. So you will also be required to receive a unique entity identifier. That goes with our organizations that we also call benefiting organizations that are not necessarily a 501c3, which means that they are tax exempt status. It means that they are registered as a charity with the state secretary's office. They will also need their own their own unique entity ID. So typically those organizations work with a fiscal receiver to receive funding. So we will also need the DUNS unique entity identifier for the fiscal receiver as well. So both of you, if you're not a 501c3, you're still gonna need that unique entity identifier. You are most welcome. I think that is up to date in the chat. But if anyone would like to unmute themselves, if they have a question at this time, I hope that I was able to answer all of your questions. Hope you can still hear me. It's kind of frozen on my end. Sure. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Let's see. There was another.
I'm sorry, I have a question. We do have a DUNS number. How do we know if that DUNS number is registered with SAM.gov?
Sure. So let me go ahead. I'm gonna go back to my screen really quickly. This is information that they will have within. So you can always check within here, your entity has a DUNS number, but may not be registered in SAM.gov. You can always click on their resources that they provide. It will pull up, again, like a guide for them, but it will be through SAM.gov. They'll be able to tell you. Now, there are, let me see here. Sorry, go back to this PDF. In order to request a UEI, I don't want to say register, because again, there are two different processes, but to request a unique entity identifier, you will still have to create a login if you don't already have one. If you don't already have an account within SAM.gov, and they will walk you through how to create that. So you'll see sign in. If you don't have one, you'll create one. And then how to create that with login.gov. They have all their instructions here for you. So all of that is available. And
also,
they will. And
also, if you're not registered with SAM.gov, you can go there and do a search, and they will let you know if you're registered. If you have questions about whether you're registered or not, you can go to SAM.gov, click on give your information, and they will let you know if you're registered or not.
Thank you, Janie.
Again, my question is, if you're registered with SAM.gov, you still have to get a unique number, because we are registered with SAM.gov. So we'll have to go there, pull up our account, and get a UEI. Is that correct?
It should. Now, if you already registered with SAM.gov, some of them have automatically assigned you a UEI, so they will tell you within your account.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay. Okay. Great question. So there's another from Stephen. There is a UEI number already entered in my grant interface. Would this be done by the district, or does each school have to register with SAM to obtain a number? Each school district will have their own unique entity identifier. A majority of them already have done this requirement because it is required for their own reporting. The school districts provide that number to us, and what we do within our system is make sure to add that number to all the schools that are applicable within our system. So we are very careful with that information, but we will update it accordingly. It's always great for schools to stay in contact with their school district. If they are missing that information within your account, please reach out to your school district to obtain that UEI. And you can edit it on your own, but you can also email your UEI to grants@arts.sc.gov, and we can enter that information into your profile for you. Each school does not have to register for their own individual UEI. Don, I hope I answered that question as well. It was very similar to the previous. If anyone else has any questions, they would like to unmute themselves or add them in the chat. Okay, perfect. Thank you, John. You are most welcome. Okay, so thank you all for your questions. I really hope this has been helpful in explaining this transition and this process. Oh, not sure what happened there. There we go. Okay. Okay, perfect. Sorry, got a little solitaire on the screen. I'm kind of jealous. I wish that was on my screen. And yes, Stephen, do I need to create a SAM account? You will need to create one if you don't already have one. Again, there are resources within SAM.gov to see if you already have one registered. If not, they have walkthrough instructions. They use a login .gov as well to create their account. So please follow their instructions. You will need one in order to request a unique entity ID. All right. Well, I just want to say thank you to everyone who participated. I will be looking out for your unique entity IDs. We, of course, if there is anyone who's missing any information, we will definitely get in touch with you to make sure you have what is needed to move forward. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us at grants@arts.sc.gov. And please also, you can call us at 803-734-8695. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All have a wonderful week, and we greatly appreciate all the hard work that you do to promote the arts in our community. Please let us know if we may be of any further assistance to you. Take care.